It's now been almost a week since Israel eliminated Yahya Sinwar, the Hamas head and mastermind of the October 7 terror atrocities that saw the slaughter of 1,200 people and the abduction of 250 hostages into Gaza. Sinwar was the Osama bin Laden of our time, responsible for the death and suffering of millions. But as the dust settles, what are the practical implications of his death? Let's start with what it means for Hamas having lost their leader. Surprisingly, it may not be as significant as it seems. Yahya Sinwar's role as leader was largely symbolic. Over the years, he crafted an almost mythical image, known as the feared butcher of Khan Yunis. But that reputation wasn't built on just killing Israelis. It came from torturing and executing Palestinians suspected of collaborating with Israel. Sinwar was an uncompromising extremist jihadist dedicated to Israel's destruction. He was a symbol of resistance to the West, the people's leader among the rubble. Following the IDF's dismantlement of Hamas as a semi-military a few months ago, Sinwar lost his ability to control the group's warfare. Yet he maintained his status as the leader, with the final say on the big issues, including ceasefire negotiations and the fate of the hostages. In his final days, Sinwar scurried between Hamas's network of subterranean terror dungeons. His DNA was found at the same tunnel where 6 young Israeli hostages were executed by Hamas at the end of August. Does Sinwar's elimination provide renewed opportunity for a ceasefire and the return of the remaining hostages? Since June, it's been well documented that Sinwar was a major roadblock to ceasefire and hostage release negotiations. Sinwar repeatedly told Hamas negotiators in Qatar not to agree to a ceasefire deal, saying in one message that high civilian deaths in Gaza would put international pressure on Israel, while he also pushed for total regional war against the Jewish state. And 6 days since his death, White House National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby has confirmed that hostage negotiations are yet to restart. With Sinwar now gone, the pressure mounts on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu from within Israel to bring them home now. And there's a renewed opportunity for the international community to leverage its influence positively and pressure a weakened Hamas to let the hostages go. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has travelled to Israel and is set to meet with both Netanyahu and Israeli President Isaac Herzog today in a diplomatic effort to end the war in Gaza and Lebanon following Sinwar's death. Blinken will then hold talks in Egypt tomorrow. Various media reports have noted that, according to an Israeli official, Netanyahu is looking for an opportunity to wrap up the war with a hostage deal, and that Israel is ready to make new concessions. An alternative proposal was also reportedly discussed at an Israeli security cabinet meeting on Sunday, whereby Hamas would need to release 5 hostages in exchange for a 2-week ceasefire. Meanwhile, Netanyahu has already made a direct offer to the people of Gaza: immunity for anyone who returns a living hostage. This offer was later sweetened by a former SodaStream CEO who added a $100,000 reward for each hostage returned alive. However, analysts believe this may not lead to the hopeful outcome. Gazans may fear the risk of reprisal from Hamas or their own community more than they desire the reward or immunity for giving up hostages. There's also fear that individual captors may retaliate against the hostages as revenge for Sinwar's death at the hands of the IDF. Who will replace Yahya Sinwar as Hamas leader? As it currently stands, there are 3 different paths forward reportedly being weighed. Option 1 is the establishment of a council of 5 senior Hamas officials, all of whom operate outside of Gaza, that will manage the terrorist organisation until a sole leader is appointed at internal elections set to be held in March. As it became clear to Sinwar that his days were becoming numbered, it was a course of action that he himself recommended to Arab mediators. Option 2 is the appointment of a sole successor, in which case some analysts have tipped Yahya Sinwar's younger brother, Mohammed Sinwar, to take over. Mohammed is a senior commander in Hamas's military wing and played a key role in the 2006 abduction of Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit. But he lacks the commanding presence and widespread influence that Yahya had, and his power is more limited to the Khan Yunis area and as of now doesn't extend much beyond that. Other potential sole successors include Qatar-based Khalil al-Hayya or Khalid Mashal, both of whom are tipped to be on the Council of Five. Mashal is a prominent Hamas leader and involved in mediated talks during the war. Some sources suggest he may already be the acting leader. But Mashal faces challenges. His distance from Gaza and reputation for enjoying the luxury of Qatar make him unpopular with the people of Gaza. Further, his soured relationships with Iran, Syria and Hezbollah, especially after his support for the Arab protests since 2011, weaken his standing. And finally, option 3 is a school of thought as expressed by a Lebanese scholar who speculates Hamas will be split into two heads, led by anti-Iran Khaled Mashal and Khalil al-Hayya, leading from Tehran. So overall, will Sinwar's elimination be a turning point in the Gaza war? It's too soon to tell definitively. While his removal opens new possibilities for the post-war landscape, much remains uncertain. At the same time, with Sinwar out of the picture, pro-Western Arab states like the UAE and Saudi Arabia may be more willing to take an active role in reconstructing Gaza once the war ends. What is clear is that Sinwar's demise is the final nail in the coffin for the emboldened Hamas that reigned over October 7. And that just may be a glimmer of hope for a better future for both Gazans and Israelis.